like you all to know that the first version of the video you're about to watch was just a basic compilation video with some in-the-moment commentary on what I was doing and how it was going. That video was 45 minutes. Did it need to be 45 minutes? No. Could it have been? Maybe. I didn't want it to be 45 minutes, and so I'm coming in here to streamline and narrate a edited version and just an overall thought process and view for you all to see now. The reason why mainly the video was going to be 45 minutes was due to rambling, and I was coming off of a cold, so the brain fog was just through the roof. Now, it wasn't how I thought that this video was going to turn out, but it is what it is, and I'm just hoping that I can salvage what I've made, because the first version, I promise you, did not make much sense in the moment as I was making the tops. Although they turned out fine, my brain during it all just... We don't need to see that. That's okay. So without further ado, I present to you the first top that I made, which was the... It all started with the desire to sit down and make a top, as I wasn't feeling that well and I just wanted something to look forward to for the warm weather coming and just getting out of that funk that was that cold. So I had plans to use this 100% DK weight yarn from James C. Brett, and it is in the color silver. It is the lightest shade of like a lavender, like cool toned lavender, and it's so neutral as well. As soon as I saw it on the shelf, I just instantly had to grab it. I have no real pattern for this top aside from the diagram that I found on Pinterest, and it's just an 8-stitch repeat. Making up all the measurements as I go along and basing it off of this fitted t-shirt that I had, and basically knowing that my circumference was 34 inches and the height of the body was going to be 13 inches. And with that amount of knowledge, I went henceforth and started crocheting. So I did 144 chains and joined that into the round and began the crochet pattern. Like I said, there's always trial and error, and I had to rip out the whole thing to decrease my stitch count by 8. Eliminating a full pattern repeat. It was only 2 inches that I most likely could have dealt with, but this is not how my brain works, or was working in the moment, so I can only watch as you are right now and see all the progress being ripped out. Luckily, it didn't take me too long to recover all of the time I lost by ripping it out, and I was back to where I was in order to start shaping for the top, for the front neckline. So I chose to do a high neckline for the front and started to decrease at the sides until I had 40 stitches, all while following the diamond pattern chart. I'll never claim to be a professional when it comes to my crafts, but I think that the decreases actually did turn out well. Working back and forth on the front until it was long enough until it reached just under my collarbones, and then I started to do the straps. Straps were really easy. I just did a chain 3 and then a double crochet into the next stitch, turned, did a chain 3 and double crocheted into that previous chain 3 and just made like a chain link all the way up. I made them longer than I needed to so that when I tried them on, I could adjust the length. So I had some more test fitting to do. Once I was satisfied with the length, I then sewed the straps onto the back and I was able to move on to my next project. That project being... After finishing making the crochet top, I wanted to move on to a knit top, the Camisole number 4 to be exact, and continue on my pursuit of making 3 summer tops. I didn't know it at the time, but that's just how it turned out. I've admired many inspiration posts from fellow knitters making the Camisole number 4 top from My Favorite Things Knitwear, and decided to give it a shot. I had a bit of trial testing out all the different yarn types and colors I could use for this pattern, but ultimately ended up with Knitpicks Comfy Fingering weight in nautical. The pattern created by this rib stitch is so interesting and pretty. It's basically a 2x2 rib stitch combined with a moss stitch. I had a bit of trouble becoming distracted and messing up the stitch pattern more frequently than I'd like to admit, but thankfully I was able to catch most of my mistakes and fix them as I went. Once I had knit the desired length of the body, I cast off and made the I-cord straps. I knit them longer than I knew I'd need, as I wanted to block and try on this top before I attached the straps, and regrettably make them too long. It was to my great shock when I actually did block this knit and found out how much stretch the rib actually held. I had the determined task of getting it back into shape, which will always astound me as I watch this giant garment be molded back into the top that matches my measurements. If you're wondering how I was able to pin the straps to the back, the answer is really awkward arms. It's just a talent I've always had. Once I had the straps pinned to the correct length, I had sewn them onto the back 2 triangles, and then that was 2 tops down and only 1 more to go, that top being. So with this next top, I started by draping some scrap fabric onto my mannequin, creating this V-neck, loose-fitted vest pattern that will have 2 ties at the front. I had some inspiration from Pinterest again and loved the look of this top that I had found. Initially, I did want to make it out of a thrifted linen top that I had bought a while back, but because of the pattern that I made and the fit and drape of the thrifted top, I wasn't able to use it. But it did lead me to go through my fabric scraps and find a piece that was large enough to fit all of my patterns and enough fabric for ties, which was absolutely perfect. Fabric that I ended up using was a cotton bedsheet that was cream and tan houndstooth, just so delicate in pattern, and I had previously used it on a dress I made a few years ago and just had saved up enough of this fabric left to finally use again. With the perfect amount of fabric for the pattern and bias tape, I cut up my fabric and set off sewing. Now, luckily this top was so easy to put together because it was basically just 4 seams, 2 shoulders and 2 side seams, and then just adding the bias tape around the armholes and neckline, and that was it. I finished all the edges with bias tape and made the neckline bias tape extend into the straps that would tie the front together. So I bought this nifty bias tape maker, and I don't think I'll ever go back to making bias tape any other way. Just taking a second to appreciate the window film that I bought that creates prisms when the light shines through. So magical. I added another set of ties around the waist, so I have 2 ties at the front for closure. So with this last one done, I have now fully accomplished my goal of making 3 tops in 1 week. So starting with my crochet top, I'm so happy with how this diamond pattern turned out. I've never tried to do too much lace work with crochet, and this really broadens my crochet horizon for what I can do. This yarn was so nice to work with, and I do have plans for some more crochet in my near future. Camisole number 4 pattern turned out so nice. I hadn't worked off of a my favorite things pattern before, but it was very easy to comprehend and a joy to knit. Even though I blocked the straps and attached them after, I think I might go back and try to reattach them to be a little bit shorter in length, just so that they don't stretch out anymore, and I can do that no problem. And lastly, the tie front vest. I love it completely. I've worn it a few times this spring already over top of t-shirts and dresses. It's so easy and just a nice layering piece to have. I still can't believe I made and drafted it within 2 days, but I couldn't be happier with how this one turned out. So the week of making all these 3 things was an absolute blur. If I didn't have the footage, I wouldn't believe it, but I am very proud of myself for getting all 3 of these made, drafted, and done. I just wish that this video was easier for me to edit, because I feel like after I did the first cut and it was 45 minutes and I had already took out a bunch of rambling, I didn't know what else I could do. So hopefully I can make something out of this. This is the 3rd time that I've had to record this voice narration, so it doesn't matter. These videos are actually really fun for me to make, and just a nice little documentation of what I can do and what I've made. I'd like to thank another inspiration and key figure in my creative projects, and that is my dearest mom. From introducing me to crochet and sewing, to always supporting me in my creative outlets, giving me space to learn, and not getting too mad at me for the amount of mess that those projects create. Whether the outcome was good or bad, she always built me up and made me feel like I could do anything. So I love you, and I thank you so much, Mom. Although it's not a 45-minute video, congratulations for making it to the end of this one and dealing with me. I would like to know, what is your favorite creative outlet? So as of right now, I'm really into crochet and have a lot of crochet projects that I'm itching to do. So that might be a next video that I want to make, but stay tuned. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to subscribe and be notified the next time I make a video, please do. Until next time, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye. With this new narrated version, I don't even know what I plan to do. Of knit for the knit rip.